Crusoe in England by Elizabeth Bishop. A new volcano has erupted, the papers say, and last week I was reading where some ship saw an island being born. At first, a breath of steam 10 miles away, and then a black fleck, basalt probably, rose in the mate's binoculars, and caught on the horizon like a fly. They named it, but my poor old island, still unrediscovered, unrenamable. None of the books has ever got it right. Well, I had 52 miserable small volcanoes I could climb with a few slithery strides. Volcanoes dead as ash heaps. I used to sit on the edge of the highest one and count the others standing up, naked and leaden, with their heads blown off. I think that if they were the size I thought volcanoes should be, then I had become a giant. And if I had become a giant, I couldn't bear to think what size the goats and turtles were, or the gulls, or the overlapping rollers, a glittering hexagon of rollers, closing and closing in. But never quite. Glittering and glittering, though the sky was mostly overcast. My island seemed to be a sort of cloud dump. All the hemispheres' leftover clouds arrived and hung above the craters. Their parched throats were hot to touch. Was that why it rained so much? And why sometimes the whole place hissed? The turtles lumbered by, high-domed, hissing like tea kettles, and I'd have given years or taken a few, for any sort of kettle, of course, that the folds of lava running out to sea would hiss. I'd turn, and then they'd prove to be more turtles. The beaches were all lava, variegated, black, red, and white, and gray. The marbled colors made a fine display. And I had waterspouts, half a dozen at a time far out. They'd come and go, advancing and retreating, their heads in cloud, their feet in moving patches of scuffed-up white. Glass chimneys, flexible, attenuated. Sacerdotal beings of glass. I watched the water spiral up in them like smoke. Beautiful, yes, but not much company. I often gave way to self-pity. Do I deserve this? I suppose I must. I wouldn't be here otherwise. Was there a moment when I actually chose this? I don't remember, but there could have been. What's wrong about self-pity anyway? With my legs dangling down familiarly over a crater's edge, I told myself, pity should begin at home. So the more pity I felt, the more I felt at home. The sun in the sea, the same odd sun rose from the sea, and there was one of it and one of me. The island had one kind of everything, one tree snail, a bright violet blue, with a thin shell crept over everything, over the one variety of tree, a sooty scrub affair. Snail shells lay under these in drifts, and at a distance you'd swear that they were beds of irises. There was one kind of berry, a dark red. I tried it, one by one, and hours apart. Subacid and not bad, no ill effects, and so I made home brew. I drank the awful fizzy stinging stuff that went straight to my head, and play my homemade flute. I think it had the weirdest scale on earth, and dizzy, whoop, and dance among the goats. Homemade, but aren't we all? I felt a deep affection for the smallest of my island industries. No, not exactly, since the smallest was a miserable philosophy. Because I didn't know enough. Why didn't I know enough of something? Greek drama or astronomy? The books I'd read were full of blanks. The poems, well, I tried, reciting to my iris beds. They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss. The bliss of what? One of the first things that I did when I got back was look it up. The island smelled of goat and guano. The goats were white, so were the gulls. And both too tame, or else they thought I was a goat, too, or a gull. Ba, 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 and shriek, shriek, shriek. Ba, shriek, ba. I still can't shake them from my ears. They're hurting now. The questioning shrieks, the equivocal replies over a ground of hissing rain, and hissing, ambulating turtles got on my nerves. When all the gulls flew up at once, they sounded like a big tree in a strong wind. Its leaves. I'd shut my eyes and think about a tree, an oak, say, with real shade, somewhere. I'd heard of cattle getting island sick. I thought the goats were. One billy goat would stand on the volcano. I'd christen Mont Despure, or Mount Despair. I'd time enough to play with names, and bleat and sniff the air. I'd grab his beard and look at him. His pupils, horizontal, narrowed up and expressed nothing, or a little malice. I got so tired of the very color. One day I dyed a baby goat bright red with my red berries, just to see something a little different. And then his mother wouldn't recognize him. Dreams were the worst. Of course I dreamed of food and love, but they were pleasant rather than otherwise. But then I'd dream of things like slitting a baby's throat, mistaking it for a baby goat. I'd have nightmares of other islands, stretching away from mine, infinites of islands spawning islands, like frogs' eggs turning into pollywogs of islands, knowing that I had to live on each and every one, eventually, for ages, registering their flora, their fauna, their geography. Just when I thought I couldn't stand it another minute longer, Friday came. Accounts of that have everything all wrong. Friday was nice, and we were friends. If only he had been a woman. I wanted to propagate my kind, and so did he, I think, poor boy. He'd pet the baby goats sometimes and race with them, or carry one around. Pretty to watch. He had a pretty body. And then one day they came and took us off. Now I live here, another island. That doesn't seem like one, but who decides? My blood was full of them. My brain bred islands. But that archipelago has petered out. I'm old, I'm bored too, drinking my real tea, surrounded by uninteresting lumber. The knife there on the shelf, it reeked of meaning like a crucifix. It lived. How many years did I beg it, implore it, not to break? I knew each nick and scratch by heart, the bluish blade, the broken tip, the lines of wood grain on the handle. Now it won't look at me at all. The living soul has dribbled away. My eyes rest on it and pass on. The local museums asked me to leave everything to them. The flute, the knife, the shriveled shoes, my shedding goatskin trousers. Moths have gotten the fur. The parasol that took me such a time remembering the way the ribs should go. It still will work, but, folded up, looks like a plucked and skinny fowl. How can anyone want such things? And Friday, my dear Friday, died of measles 17 years ago, come March.